Recently, I started a brand new save in Animal Crossing New Leaf, and after becoming the mayor of my new town, befriending my villagers, and reintroducing myself to the game in the first week, I completely abandoned it. But now that I'm back, I decided to play for 30 days straight to see what fun things await. And even though it's been over a month since I last played, things didn't seem too horrible once I returned. Normally there would be weeds everywhere, but because I had the beautiful town ordinance enacted, there were only a few. The bad news, however, is that my hair is a mess. It doesn't automatically fix itself like in New Horizons, and since I haven't unlocked the salon yet, it's gonna stay like this for the time being. Yay! But luckily none of my villagers left town, which is a good thing since it usually happens in the early stages of a new save. Plus, there's a new villager moving in tomorrow. The 9th villager moving in is Soleil. That's a Karen. I talked to all my villagers, and to nobody's surprise, they were all mad that I was gone. But that anger didn't last too long, as evidenced by Jitters, who had a new nickname for me, Cleats, which does not eat. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find my favorite villager, Shari, and I searched far and wide. Oh well, I guess I could just talk to her tomorrow. This is called foreshadowing. While catching up, I also found a lost item that I had to return to its owner. I checked with the first villager I found, and it wasn't theirs, and unlike New Horizons, lost items in this game don't tell you who the owner is right away, so you'll have to talk to everybody until you find who it belongs to. But I managed to find them right away. It was Eric's, and he gave me a snow shirt as a thank you gift, even though it's now spring. Which, speaking of spring, since it's my first time playing this season, there's now a ton of new critters to catch for the museum. So I decided to do that while looking for my fossils. And I think it might have snowed the last time I played because I also found a couple gyroids. They spawn the next day after it snows or rains, and in older games, they look like this. I love them. Those are my sons. After donating things to the museum, I spent some time on Main Street to do some shopping, and while in Able Sisters, Sable finally talked to me. It's so cute to see her slowly open up to you and crawl out of her shell. I bought some bitch shades from Label and decided to also renovate my home's exterior over at Nook's Homes. In New Leaf, you were able to redo your entire home's exterior at any stage with no limits, so I bought a brand new roof, door, fence, and paving. Can't wait to see how that looks. To celebrate my return to the game, I decided to build another public works project, and I chose a street lamp. A simple and elegant choice that was also super cheap to build. I was gonna build it near the yellow bench, but oh my gosh, it was so hard to get it exactly where I wanted. My plan was to have it right next to the bench, but Isabel wouldn't let that happen, so I had to settle with an awkward distance instead. And after donating the bells I needed, I decided to spruce up the area by decorating it, but since this is Animal Crossing New Leaf, all I was able to do was just plant one tree and a bunch of flowers around the area. It's good enough for now, I guess. When I logged on the next day, Isabel let me know that it had been a while since I last played. Again, I got confused and just assumed I forgot to save yesterday, but if that was the case, Isabel would have told me. Huh. I came out of my house and yawned once again as if it had been a while, and still confused at what was going on, I went up to Julian to talk with him, and he had informed me that it had been a year since I last played. Yeah, it's time to confess. For the sake of this video, I decided to record multiple days in a row so that I could get it out sooner, and while time traveling to day 2, I accidentally time traveled to March 26, 2025. Quickly realizing what I'd done, I exited the game without saving, fixed the time and returned, and alright, panic's over. Looks like the town is fine, minus the many weeds, so I just went on with my day. Because of the time traveling, Soleil moved in and was already unpacked, so I got to see what her house looked like on the first day. And sure, I may have beef with her due to her past, but she's welcome for the time being, I guess. And now I come with bad news. While doing my dailies, I looked at my town's map and noticed something horrible. A house was missing, and that house belonged to Shari. Because the game thought I hadn't played for a year, she decided to leave, and since we weren't close, I didn't even get a letter saying goodbye. And she already had moved out when I logged in during 2025, so there was literally no way of getting her back, unfortunately, and I'm pissed. Why did the game have to take away my favorite villager? Why couldn't they just take Jitters instead? He offers nothing to the town except nasty rotted energy and germs. Anyways, after celebrating the new street lamp, I tried to cope as I went on with my day, but that was immediately interrupted by Butch, who wanted me to catch him a butterfly that he could give to his niece. That's not helping, Butch, shut up. I actually ended up finding one right away though, so I don't know why I'm complaining. But right after completing that request, Peanut decided to give me another one. Clearly, no one in this town cares that I'm sad right now, as evidenced by the fact that she wanted me to make a delivery to Soleil, who is definitely the last person I want to see right now. I decided to suck it up and do it, since I'm the mayor and I gotta maintain a good reputation with my villagers, blah blah blah, so I headed over to Soleil's and gave her the gift. Turns out it was a bunny shirt that she had ordered, and when she thought the package was lost, she just bought another one. So she asked if I would buy it from her for 406 bells, which is actually cheaper than its normal sale price, so I said yes. This is an absolutely rare W for any Soleil stands watching, if y'all even exist. While fossil hunting, I stumbled upon a dandelion. This is the type of weed that's not found in New Horizons, and if you leave them alone, they turn into dandelion puffs after a few days. Dandelion puffs are actually a held item that you can walk around with, and if you press A or blow into the microphone, your player will actually blow on it. Anyways, back to my villagers asking me to do shit for them, and next up we have Monique, with a simple request, a new catchphrase. I decided to go with purr, because she's a cat. And also it sounds really funny when the villagers verbalize it. This was followed up by Butch, who wanted to buy the bunny shirt that I just spent 400 bells on for only 96. Things got even more awkward when I immediately caught a flea off of him. Like, damn, this dude is broke and musty. Pick a struggle. Despite the horrible start, day 2 actually ended up being pretty chill. Sure, my best friend left town without telling me, but to be fair from her perspective, I had abandoned town for an entire year, so who's really in the wrong? And funnily enough, because I accidentally time traveled, an extra day had been logged into my progress, and the game thinks I've played for 9 days instead of 8, so my Nook shop was actually closed for renovation and will be upgraded tomorrow. Nice to see my past clownery make for a better future. I was so swept up from everything that happened the day before that I completely forgot to share what the outside of my house looked like. I think the combination looks pretty cute, and if you disagree, I don't care. But now that it's day 3, Isabel let me know that T&T Mart was officially open. For this to have happened, you needed to spend 10,000 bells towards your home loan and 12,000 bells at Nookling Junction. And your town needs to be 10 days old as well, as I mentioned before. It's modeled after a convenience store and now carries more items. 3 tools, including 3 new ones, those being the slingshot, timer, and megaphone, 3 furniture pieces, 2 fortune cookies, 1 wallpaper and carpet, 1 wrapping paper, and 1 medicine. You also get access to your catalog where you're able to purchase any items you've obtained throughout the game. I obviously did some shopping while there, and I bought myself a slingshot and both fortune cookies that were available. And it was a good thing I did, as one of the prizes was a Wii U for free. This is something that we'll talk about later in the video, but for now, just know that it's an important item. I ended up spending day 3 doing more chores for my villagers, including finding a piece of fruit for Gladys and giving Julian a piece of furniture for his house, which caused him to ask me to move in. Oh, Julian, you flirt. Another fun feature that can happen in this game is playing hide and seek with your villagers. Eric asked me to participate in a game, and I managed to find all 3 of them relatively quick. Maybe these flops should get better before trying me again. And to add to Eric's flop streak, he had fleas as well. And considering he was hanging out with Butch a lot, I feel like I know where he got him from. The day after T&T Mart opens, you'll be greeted by a random person at your doorstep. This is Dr. Shrunk, and he wants to open a club over on Main Street. He already talked with Isabel, and all he needs is my approval, as well as a petition with 6 signatures from my villagers. So all you gotta do is get 6 of your villagers to sign it, and none of them will refuse, so just talk to the first 6 you find, and after that, bring the signed petition over to Shrunk, who's standing near Nook's homes, and in a few days, the club will open and I can finally have a place in town to throw my ass in a circle. I spent the rest of day 4 looking for my fossils, catching bugs, and then donated a few things to the museum. And that was it. But on day 5, I was met with the shocking revelation from Soleil. Somebody new was moving in. I searched all over town and found the new housing plot behind Town Hall, and the 9th villager moving on to Nooktits is Stinky. I guess it's time to stock up on those nose plugs. But now that I have 9 villagers in town, in order for a 10th to move in, we need to place down the campsite. So I decided to build it today. You aren't able to demolish it once placed down, so I had to find a good place. Originally, I planned on having it behind Town Hall since it was close to the campground, but because Stinky's moving there, I had to go with plan B, which was in this corner part of the river closer to the top of town. With enough trees and flowers, I could definitely transform this into a cute spot. Julian also told me that he was the younger twin in his family, which sure, you could take it as him trying to open up to me because he has a crush on me or whatever, but there's actually some more importance to this conversation that we'll uncover later on. But then later on that day, Julian pinged me down to give me a new nickname, Genius, which confirms to me that this man is flirting. Oh my god. Is it toxic of me to assume any positive attention from men is flirting? Probably, but I rarely get any of that from men anyways, so I don't really have to worry for now. Butch, on the other hand, wanted me to catch him another bug for his niece. Seems like he's a lazy ass uncle if he's getting the mayor of his town to do the hunting for him. But while looking, I saw a balloon present floating and I was finally able to shoot it down since I now have a slingshot. Inside the gift was a balloon chair, which is a part of the balloon furniture set that can only be found from popping balloons. I shook down all my non-native trees to earn some extra cash now that I'm broke again, and went off to Main Street to do my shopping for the day. And while at the Nook store, I was able to get my hands on a megaphone. This item allows you to use your 3DS mic to call out for villagers so you can easily find them. Butch, someone call me. Oh, here you are. Hi. You know what's really funny though? Don't do this if you're trying to have a good relationship with your villagers, but Butch. That's loud, and it's right in my ear. And that's what he gets for being lazy, broke, and musty. The next day, Stinky officially moved in, so I went over to say hi. And finally, we had a completely normal move in this video. But that was soured though after our first conversation. This guy's kind of a freak. Also debuting today, the campsite. And similar to New Horizons, it's completely random when campers show up, so we'll wait until that happens to talk about it. But the new things didn't stop there, because as I went up to Main Street, I saw that another new shop was being built, but more on that later. And now since we have a campsite, I decided to decorate some more using more flowers and trees. But while doing that, I noticed Butch talking to Eric, and then all of a sudden, Eric changed into the exact same outfit as Butch. I think Butch is trying to start a cult because Peanut was also seen wearing that same thing for the last few days. We're now almost a week into this 30-day video, and so far, despite the chill and relaxing vibes, it's starting to get a bit boring. I'm not gonna lie. I've been just doing my dailies and chatting with my villagers for the last few days, and I would like to do a little more than that. Luckily for the next 2 days, we're having back-to-back holidays. The first of which being Bunny Day. Oh fuck. If you head over to the plaza, you're greeted by a FNAF reject, Zipper T Bunny, who lets you know that he's hidden eggs all over the town. And the first task of the day is to find one of each of the 6 types. Stone eggs are hidden in rocks, earth eggs are buried underground, you can pop down balloons to get sky eggs, shake trees for tree eggs, fish up water eggs, and go diving for deep sea eggs. Bring all the eggs to Zipper and hand them over, one by one, and you'll get an egg basket as a reward. Then he'll reveal that you can actually eat the eggs you find, and if you manage to get a winning ticket, you can exchange it for a piece of furniture from the egg series. Personally, I think the furniture's ugly, but they are worth 9,000 bells each, and the wallpaper and flooring are 8,888 bells for some reason. So if you're broke like me and looking to earn some bells, it's totally worth your time grinding it out during this holiday. I mean, just by getting all the stone and earth eggs available, since those two are limited, I exchanged them for furniture and sold all of them for 72,088 bells. But because you aren't able to redeem more than one ticket at a time with Zipper, I got lazy and decided to do the rest later. Your villagers don't really participate in Bunny Day. They'll give some helpful dialogue here and there, but that's about it. And since they have normal conversations today, I was able to learn from Stinky that Jitters was thinking about moving out. I went over to retail to sell some things, and I was greeted by Reese's husband, Cyrus, who literally threatened to fight me because he thought I was bothering his wife. That's a true husband, to be honest. But because he's finally awake, that means I can start getting furniture customized through him. After shopping on Main Street, I decided to start egg hunting again to try and earn some more bells. But it was taking forever to get eggs that I literally just gave up 5 minutes later and exited the game. I didn't even bother to find the grand prize ticket, by the way, which allows you to get Zipper's photo. Although in hindsight, that was probably a good thing because the last thing I need right now is a picture of that man in my house. April 1st is a very important day in Animal Crossing New Leaf as it's the start of cherry blossom season. And as you walk around town, you can ogle at all the pink trees around your town. Even though none of them are cherry trees, yet they produce cherry blossoms. If you talk to your villagers walking outside today, you may notice them having some weird conversations, like Julian, for example, who tried to convince me that Tortimer was attempting to become a pop girly named Shalicious Retort, or Soleil, who spilled that Isabel is secretly a very good drummer. I mean, it is April Fool's Day after all, and the game celebrates this with your villagers trying to pull pranks on you in the saddest way possible. My villagers aren't the best at lying since they're all flops, but if you're in the mood for an actual fun event, head over to the plaza where you'll be greeted by that. This is Blanca, who's also aware of how bad your villagers are at April Fool's Day, so they want to try and spice things up for you. They let you know that they're going to disguise themselves as one of your villagers and head over to their house, and it's your job to find them. So let's do that. I looked around for a bit, and when I entered Peanut's house, there were 2 of them. Yeah, this event's pretty weird. The Peanuts are angry at each other, accusing one another of being an imposter, and it's up to you to figure out who's being sus. They'll start revealing bits about their lore, including their skills, dream career, etc. And if you remember from a few days ago, Julian told us about his family. Towards the end of March, your villagers will spill little bits of information like this in order to help you out in this event. Unfortunately for me, however, Julian was the only one to do this, so I just Googled the answers, which I'd highly recommend doing anyways because it's totally worth 100%ing this event. After you guess correctly, your villagers will be so grateful for knowing them so well that you get their photo as a reward, which was the next victim of Blanca's misdoings. And I knew right away without Googling which one was the fake, as said fake tried to pass off chugging milk as their skill, which is something that no one should be proud of doing. Sorry to the milk stands. I also noticed both of the bugs that I caught for Butch's quote-unquote niece being displayed in his house. Interesting. Slowly but surely, I went to each villager's homes and was able to guess correctly who the imposter was every time. And because of that, I was able to get every single photo from my villagers, including Stinky, who just moved in 2 days ago. Okay, sure, we all know that I'm a nasty, rotted cheater who's creating a false sense of a close relationship with my villagers so that I can keep their approval while I remain their mayor, but my villagers don't need to know that. And look at all these photos. It was so worth cheating if it benefits me this much. And the argument for why cheating is okay is further supported the following day, as when I checked my mail, I got Blanca's photo as a reward for completing the event. I also got a ton of Happy Home Academy points because I had all my villagers' photos displayed, bumping me to over 70,000 points, giving me the gold HHA plaque as a reward. Because of that, I was paid a visit from a very special character, Phineas. He claims to be the badge man and hands out various badges to any good person he meets. Badges in this game act as the achievement system, and anytime you meet conditions for one, he'll show up to give you said badge. In my case, I got the Happy Homer Bronze badge for having over 50,000 points earned. Each badge has 3 ranks, bronze, silver, and gold, and there are many different areas you can get badges for, including ones for completing your Critterpedia, popping balloons, and spending bells, and you can also get some depending on your playtime, or even for inviting many friends over or visiting other towns. At least until last month when online services were still open, that is. While chatting with my villagers, I was finally pinged down by Jitters, who revealed he was planning to move out of town on April 10th. And I know we've had our differences, but considering we already had such a big loss with Shari leaving this month, I couldn't bear to lose another one right away. even if they are a flop, so I told Jitters he could stay. Even though I haven't showed it, I have been fossil hunting and finding money rocks every day, and by selling the extra fossils plus my fruit for the last few days, I was able to save up enough bells to pay off my next home loan and upgrade my home once again. This time around I was able to get a second floor, which costed 298,000 bells. While doing my shopping, I stopped by Able Sisters and saw a new machine was unlocked. I had been chatting to Sable each day, and by doing so, the ability to scan QR codes to download custom designs is now available via this giant ass sewing machine. And speaking of new things that were unlocked, the shop that was being built is finally complete, and it's Kicks, a shoe store that's owned by Kicks. This is unlocked by spending 8,000 bells over at Able Sisters and playing in your town for 10 days. The next day my house upgraded, giving me access to the second floor, and oh my god, why is it so small? I mean, I guess it's cozy, and I'm sure it has a nice personality as well. This will do for the time being, I guess. The new things kept coming on because when I logged on, Isabel told me that the club was finally open, so I went over to check it out during the day. So obviously it was empty, but I talked to Dr. Shrunk anyways. He lets you know that in the past, he was a quote-unquote famous stand-up comedian, and even though he's now retired, he does miss performing from time to time, so he decides to strike up a deal. If you bring him any piece of food, he'll perform an old routine for you. Thank you. Dr. Shrunk is in the house. My worry joke is just a thing to cure what ails you. You know, sometimes people say that things can make you feel kind of worried. The other day I was walking around and I saw an older lady trip and fall before my very eyes. I was shocked. Of course, I immediately jumped into action to help her out. Ma'am, are you okay? I asked. Did you hit your head? Can you say your name and how old you are? Then she jumped right back up on her feet, and you know what she said? Hehehe, you and your friends ask quite a lot of questions. After the performance, he gives you his old joke book so you can log down each of the many routines, and those allow you to finally emote. And now my player is finally able to express himself, although for the time being, all he's able to do is be worried, which is kind of relatable, I'm not gonna lie. I decided to go down to the beach later that day, and I was met with an unlikely encounter. Gulliver, who was passed out on my shoreline. I wanted to push him back into the ocean, but I thought it would look better as a mayor to try and help him out, so I woke him up. He reveals that he fell off his boat while trying to sail to a specific country, but is now suffering from memory loss and can't figure out where he was headed. So, once again, I had to help out. He describes the place, noting that it was most known for Vikings and mermaids, and I was so smart that I was able to correctly choose Denmark. No, I didn't Google it, stop asking that. This is pretty much the summary of Gulliver's role in this game. He crashes onto your town way too often, and if you guess where he's supposed to go correctly, he'll reward you with the unique item related to said country in the mail the next day, which in this case was a mermaid statue. What a beauty. Red showed up the next day and I was finally able to purchase a painting from him. And luckily for me, the proper painting was there, and since it's always genuine, I bought it. And just like New Horizons, he'll send it in the mail tomorrow. Today was another day spent talking to my villagers, and it was kind of juicy. For starters, Eric got into a fight with Soleil, so he wanted me to give his apology gift to her, and turns out he gave her an elephant tea, which is an interesting thing to give to somebody you fought with. It feels kind of shady, and I think Soleil was on that same wavelength because she didn't even bother to try it on, and as a reward I got a litchi from her. That's a sign of good friendship in this game. Gag. After that, Gladys pinged me down and wanted to trade me this black flannel shirt I got the other day for a men's toilet. Why does she have a urinal in her pocket? I don't want to know, but considering that I am a man and I use a toilet, I figured it'd be nice to get one for free, so I agreed to the trade. And while visiting Julian, he asked me to bring Gladys over so he could give her something. That something was a t-shirt she had asked him to buy for her, and there was definitely some tension between the two of them during this conversation, which did not make sense with my fantasy, and I won't allow this. The next day, as I was talking to my villagers again, Peanut asked me to bury a time capsule for her, another feature unique to this game. I decided to bury it by her house so I'd remember where it was when she'd eventually ask me to dig it up for her. I spent the rest of the day fossil hunting and went to the museum to donate them alongside the painting I bought yesterday, and after doing this, I walked out of the museum and then walked right back in to see that Blathers was thinking about something. Now that there's 20 items donated with at least one in each section, Blathers wants to open up the second floor of the museum to use as a place for villagers to display their own items. Unfortunately, he's broke, but seeing that I'm mayor, he decided to request the second floor as a public works project, giving us another thing to work towards. And this one is hefty as it costs 198,000 bells, and I currently only have 50,000 at the moment, so it's time to grind up once again. I spent the rest of the day trying to earn more bells, but I thought a much better way to quickly do that would be to just head on over back to Tortimer's Island the next day and catch more rare beetles. So I hopped on a boat with Cap'n on day 13 and spent a very long time filling up my pockets with all the rare beetles I could catch. And after doing that, I decided to go on a couple more island tours before heading back. I decided to do the easy item matching game, which as the name implies, requires you to match items buried underground, and it was pretty easy. I also decided to play the market fish game, where your goal is to catch 10,000 bells worth of fish before the timer runs out, which, fun fact, I never even heard of before. I've been playing this game on and off for almost 10 years now, and I'm still making new discoveries. I headed back to town and sold all my bugs for a whopping 238,000 bells, and donated what I needed for the museum's second floor, which is automatically placed in the train section if you choose to work on it, by the way. I wanted to celebrate by throwing ass at the club, but to my surprise, an intimate KK Slider concert was being held instead, because I completely forgot that it was Saturday, which is when this happens. The first time you go to a show, you get a random KK song, which for me was KK Jangara. I was able to celebrate the new addition to the museum the following day, and at said celebration, I met Celeste, our astrology diva. She's the one who now runs the second floor, which acts as a gift shop, where you can buy museum-themed items as well as some silver tools. I had a silver shovel for sale the first day as I had donated 30 fossils to the museum, and with it, you have a chance at getting a money rock to shoot out ores instead, which I managed to get the next day, not to brag. Also available are 4 exhibition rooms where you can display whatever you'd like. They cost 10,000 bells each to open, and you're able to put any item in there and create your own personal display. Isabel suggested that I set up an exhibit that reflected my vision of the town, so I decided to buy a room and do exactly that. I checked my bulletin board to learn that TNT Mart was expanding once again, which means it's going to be closed tomorrow, so I definitely wanted to do some shopping beforehand. And while buying my fortune cookies for the day, I managed to get a Nintendo 3DS. And with both the 3DS and Wii U in my possession, it's time to go over one of my top 5 favorite features in Animal Crossing New Leaf, the virtual minigames. Both of these consoles allow you to play 2 different minigames, the first being Puzzle League on the 3DS. It's basically a Tetris style game where you compete to try and become the mayor of Puzzle League. Each stage of the game has you competing against various characters, and in order to beat them, you must get 100% approval from spectators within the 4 rounds of the stage. It's cute, it's fun, but in my opinion, a little boring, so I'm gonna move on. The Wii U, on the other hand, has the better minigame, Desert Island Escape. The goal of this game is to try and escape a desert island by obtaining the 4 materials needed to craft a raft within a set amount of days, ensuring that you also don't run out of food or get attacked by monsters. It's a simple game, really. You can use play coins to play with your own villagers or scan in any amiibo to select 3 characters to play with. Each character has different stats in movement, which is the number of times they can travel per day, hunger, which is how much food they eat at night, and vision, which is how many spaces they can see around them on the map. There are also special abilities that give characters a unique trait that benefits their gameplay, such as Fish Fetch, which makes catching fish a lot easier, or Sniff 'em Out, which can help you see an item nearby. The skills and abilities are dependent on the villager's species, so try to have a diverse team each time you play to ensure success. The game runs on a probability system, meaning each time you face a challenge, whether it's hunting searching for food or fighting a monster, you have to spin a wheel to determine your success in it. In order to better your chances, you can try and find materials to craft tools. And if you're successful in escaping, you're graded on how well you did, which depends on 3 factors: how many days and how much food you have left, as well as how many spaces you've explored on the island. And if you fail and don't escape, well, I actually don't know what happens because I've never lost before. Overall, both of these minigames are super fun, and it's such a shame that they're only available in New Leaf and not in any other game because... Wait, what? Desert Island Escape is in Amiibo Festival? Who cares? No one plays that game. But going back to our regularly scheduled nonsense, I started day 16 off with a letter from my mom, who sent me a new outfit in honor of spring. That outfit was a "You Are Here" tee. That's an interesting choice, mother. Thanks, I guess. More excitingly though, we finally had a camper staying in the campsite. Isabel does not let you know when this happens, so I was genuinely surprised when I saw the tent pitched up. Inside said tent was Pinky, and I actually do like her a lot, so I decided to try and move her in. We yapped for a bit, and then she offered to play a game with me, Snap Decision. She has 5 pieces of furniture for sale, and I had to pick one of them to buy. The catch, however, is she'll reveal the items one by one, and I won't know what the next item is until I reject the one before. So I had to make sure I wasn't getting scammed, because if I reject 4 items, I have to buy the last one no matter what. Item number 1 was a striped bathroom sink for 3,220 bells, which was an instant no for me since that was way overpriced and the item's kinda ugly. Next was a green pantry for the low price of 3,596 bells, which was a no for me because that was also overpriced, you scammy bit. The third was a modern wood chair for only 876 bells, and I knew to say yes right away because not only was it a really good deal, but the item itself is actually really cute. After conversing some more, the question was finally popped up. I asked her to move in, and she liked the idea but was torn on whether or not to say yes. So she decided to play another game, charades, and if I lost, I had to give my slingshot to her. I was willing to take the risk though, because charades is such an easy game to play. I mean, they basically spell out the answer to you with the hints they give in this game, so I managed to win, and Pinky was moving to Nooktits in a couple of days. I went to Main Street afterwards to check out the new TNT store. This one is called Super TNT, modeled after a supermarket. It can unlock 10 days after TNT Mart, given that you spend 25,000 bells on items, and the stock expands once again with this upgrade, allowing you to now buy 4 pieces of furniture, with one of them being a wall item, 2 carpets and wallpaper each, 2 fortune cookies, 3 tools, 1 medicine and wrapping paper each, 2 stationaries, and 1 new kind of stationery called melody paper, which lets you send a tune alongside your letter. If you've only played New Horizons, you might be surprised to see the Nook store upgrade once again. Well, what if I told you that there's still 2 more upgrades left after this one? Does it make you jealous? I hope it does. As I was headed to Able Sisters, I saw that the building above was now undergoing construction, so I'm super excited to see what awaits. And I ended off the day by heading over to Cyrus, as I wanted him to customize another item for me. Well, actually, I'm technically asking him to create a new one, since he has the ability to make a music box. It requires a KK album, a giant clam, and 3,000 bells. It takes 30 minutes for him to complete the project, but I didn't feel like waiting, so I just logged off and decided to pick it up the next day. And now that I have it, I can show it off. It's super cute. The next couple of days ended up being really casual, and not a lot actually happened, to be honest. I mean, the only notable thing that happened on day 17 was me deciding to build a fire hydrant. As for day 18, I celebrated said fire hydrant, which was placed by Town Hall, so Isabel finally has a place to go piss girl. And then I delivered a gift to Peanut that was from Jitters. I saw that Pinky was moving in by the campsite. I told Gladys she can move out of town, and then I bought a painting from Reds. What? You want me to repeat what I just said? About what? Jitters' gift? Yeah, that was funny because when he asked me to deliver it, Peanut was like literally standing right there and... Oh, that's not... Oh, you meant Gladys. Yeah, I'm letting her go. She's getting in between me and Julian, and I am not trying to recreate challengers in my Animal Crossing game, thank you very much. So we will be saying goodbye on the 21st. After saying hi to Pinky the next day, I went back to Main Street because the shop that was being built was finished and it's Shampoodle. It unlocks after Kix has been open for a week and 10,000 bells were spent at both Kix and Able Sisters. Harriet runs this shop. It allows you to restyle your look and it also has the best soundtrack in the game. Upon opening, you're able to change your hairstyle, which I desperately needed, and you were also able to transfer a Mii's face into the game as well. Similar to the beginning of the game with Rover, you're able to get a new hairstyle by answering various questions that Harriet asks you, instead of being able to simply choose it yourself, because that's totally how it works in the real world as well. When asked about the overall look I wanted, I went with extremely casual since I'm chill like that, to which Harriet then asked if I was a loose and wavy casual or a stylish kind of casual, and I obviously chose stylish. And then things got philosophical. She wanted to know why I wanted to be stylish. Was it because I wanted to be a fashion leader that people looked up to, or a prickly, don't get too close to me type? And I went with the former, and the questions kept on rolling when it came time to decide the hair color, to which I said I wanted a bright color that was reminiscent of clear skies. With all that in mind, Harriet had the perfect look for me, and I let the machine do whatever it's doing to me, and I came out the other end looking like this. And honestly, it looks so good. Oh my god, especially with this outfit, I look like an evil Pokemon leader. I am obsessed. And it's a good thing I got a makeover too, as we have another event to look forward to tomorrow, the fishing tourney. In New Leaf, fishing tourneys are hosted by Chip, who is CJ's dad for the New Horizons players, and they happen on either the second or third Saturday of almost every month, excluding June to September. The goal is to compete with your villagers to see who can catch the biggest fish before 6 p.m. The type of fish varies each month, but since it's the second Saturday of April, any fish will do this time. Anytime you catch a critter in the game, you're actually able to see how big it is, which is super useful for the fishing tourney. I fished around for a bit, catching a rainbow trout, a dab, and a horse mackerel, and gave each of them to Chip one by one. The horse mackerel was actually big enough to beat the current record, allowing me to swoop into first place. And for this next part, vegans, look away. As a reward, I got the pufferfish TV, which is from the special fishing furniture set, which you're only able to attain items from if the fish you give is bigger than its average size. Both of the other fish I caught were much bigger than the horse mackerel, allowing me to break my own record twice, and each time you do that, you get a random furniture item from Chip as a reward, one of which was a toilet. For some reason. I took a break from fishing to do my dailies, and while at Main Street, I went into the museum and noticed that Blathers was thinking once again. Because I now have donated 50 items, Blathers wants to help out a friend of his with opening a cafe in town and once again needs our help, meaning another future project is now available at Town Hall. After giving a big juicy sea bass to Chip to once again ensure I remain in first, I came back around 6 p.m. to see the results. And yeah, it's been 2 hours since I played, but my villagers are all flops, so there's no way any of them beat Monique won with an even bigger sea bass. What? By the way, if you've never seen this before, in New Leaf, there was an actual awards ceremony that took place after 6 p.m. It's a cute little cutscene, and once again, I hate that they got rid of it. Anyways, I came in second, and as intelligent people say, first the worst, second the best. So I'm counting this as a win for me. On day 21, I got a letter in the mail from Gladys saying goodbye as it was finally time for her to move out of town. Yeah, confession time again? Yesterday I played the fishing tourney around 4 p.m. and then decided to time travel to 6 so I could check out the awards ceremony, and remember how on day 2 I accidentally went a year ahead? Yeah, I did it again. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. And because I opened up the game a year later, Gladys had already moved out since April 21st, 2024 was a long time ago. Hey, I did tell y'all she was gonna move out on the 21st, but I didn't specify the 21st of what. Y'all thought I meant the 21st of April? No, I clearly meant the 21st day of this video. Whoops. But because we were actually close enough, I did get a letter from her this time around, which is sweet. Moving on, I noticed that the time capsule I buried for Peanut respawned, meaning she was gonna ask me to get it for her, and spoiler alert, she did. In it, there was a letter about something that had to do with fashion. I didn't pay attention, but there was also a citrus tea in there which she gave me as a reward. Later that day, Butch came to me with the request, a police station. No thanks. but it is now a public works project that's available if you'd like to place it down. I displayed the trophy I got yesterday in my house, as well as the other one I got since I had to compete twice due to my mishap, and then I went over to town hall afterwards to start building the roost. It costs 298,000 bells to build, and it's actually its own separate building that you're able to place in town. This is the only game where it's not a part of the museum. And now that we need more bells, you already know what we have to do. And after catching the bugs and selling them once again, I was able to donate the bells to the roost. And what better way to celebrate than by finally throwing my ass around at the club. And look, Butch was there with me. How fun. Oh, how I love throwing my ass around. The roost opened up the following day, and of course I beelined straight to meet Rooster and get my first cup of piping hot coffee, which I then chugged without feeling any pain. Interesting. Afterwards, I went over to Shampoodle to see that the machine had upgraded, and now I'm able to change my eye color. It's similar to the hair system with Harriet asking more questions, and I just kept answering to ensure I got the exact eye color I wanted. People with blue eyes be like. Things ended up being pretty chill for the rest of the month. I kind of just logged in each day to do my dailies and chat with my villagers, which is the typical Animal Crossing experience, and it was super relaxing to do. And while doing so, I saw a strange balloon flying over me by town hall, and when I shot it down, it was actually a silver slingshot. It's unlocked after popping down 14 balloons and shoots 2 pellets instead of 1, giving you more range for popping. I decided to try decorating once more by the entrance to the town by clearing out some of the trees and using flowers to create a path that leads down to the campsite. The overall vibe I'm trying to go for with this town is minimal but still foresty, so I do plan on having a lot of trees around town, which is gonna take forever to plant since you only get 1 for purchase every day. Oh, and I ended off the day with a new catchphrase for Butch. Nothing super interesting happened on day 24. However, Monique did request a modern bridge as a public works project, which I will not be building because I think modernism as a whole is very ugly. Instead, I opted to build another street lamp close to my entrance to try and create a slightly urban area in town. And when I went to celebrate it the next day, only Julian showed up to the ceremony. That's a real one. And after playing another round of hide and seek with Stinky, which I obviously won, I went over to the roost once again, and since I had been going every day since it opened, I was now able to order coffee to go. I decided to play later in the nighttime on day 26 just because I hadn't yet. I went to throw some ass at the club once again and then stopped by the roost, where I met up with Butch and learned that he does not like putting milk in his coffee, which I will take note of. I built another street lamp because I wanted some symmetry and then decided to head to Tortimer's once again to grind up for some bells. I mainly did this just so I can finally pay off my home loan. And then the next day, I upgraded my house when Nooks opened up. This time around, I had a choice between expanding the size of my second floor, since it's so tiny, adding a new room on the first floor or a basement, and finally, the option of adding a secret storeroom in order to expand my storage, which is the one I decided to go with since my current storage is almost full already. It costs 198,000 bells to pay off, and tomorrow will be added to my home. With the new secret storeroom added, I now had an extra 350 storage spaces on top of my already existing 180, which is super helpful. But the main reason I decided on this upgrade was because when you head over back to Nooks, you're introduced to Lottie, who is also a member of the HHA, and she is there to give a tutorial on how to decorate your home in a much easier way. You know how you're able to do it in New Horizons? That's what's now unlocked after completing this tutorial, so I decided to finally redo my home now that it's a lot easier to do. This is the one time in this video I'm gonna compliment New Horizons, however, because unlike that game, you can't access your storage while you're in the build mode, meaning you have to manually go into storage, take the items you want to use to decorate out, place them all down individually, and then use the build mode to move them around. And you have to do the opposite if you want to put items away. So decorating my home took a very long time because of this. My second floor ended up looking super cute. I turned it into a cozy little bedroom using various items I had collected, but the first floor is definitely a work in progress. Day 29 took place on April 22nd, which coincidentally was also Nature Day in game. Isabel tells you to meet her in the plaza, meaning Town Hall is closed for the day, and when you do, you get a cool globe as a gift for celebrating and trying your hardest to maintain a clean earth, which is something we should be trying to do in real life, but sadly, unethical billionaires, major corporations, and a shitty government exist, and they're destroying the world for us, so we're pretty much doomed. On a lighter note, I stopped stopped by the roost once again. And because I'm such a loyal customer, I was offered a job as a part-time barista, and I start tomorrow. Hell yeah. Speaking of tomorrow, we have officially made it to April 23rd, aka day 30, aka the final day for this video. I did my dailies once again, and while doing them, Peanut asked me for another fruit, so I decided on giving a perfect apple from the tree near her house, but unfortunately when I shook the tree, it died. Perfect trees do only give a limited number of fruit, and when its time has come to stop, it literally becomes naked. Look at it. I went to the roost for the final time, as it was also my first day as a queer barista with blue hair and pronouns. This feature is unlocked after your 7th drink, and basically you have to make coffee for your villagers who stop by. They each have their own preferences when it comes to the type of bean and how much milk and sugar they like to put in it, so it's up to you to guess correctly. Villagers will hint at one of their correct choices during your first couple of shifts, and a good tip to know is that the milk and sugar will always be the same number. So say if they ask for 2 sugars, that means they also want a regular amount of milk as well. But just like the April Fool's event, I just googled it again. Jitters was my first customer, and he wants Kilimanjaro beans and no milk or sugar. Pinky was next, and her bean of choice was a blend, as well as regular milk and 2 sugars. And the final villager of the day was Butch, who also likes a blend, but with no milk or sugar. Before your shift ends though, you meet one more customer who happens to be one of the special characters in the game, and unlike villagers, their coffee doesn't follow that whole milk sugar ratio tip. For example, Tom Nook showed up for me, and his coffee order was Kilimanjaro beans with lots of milk but only 1 sugar. Since I got all 4 orders correct, I was paid in superb coffee beans, which is an item you can sell for 2,000 bells at retail. And with that, we're at the end of my first full month in Animal Crossing New Leaf, and as a way of celebrating the hardships, clownery, and everything else I faced, I decided to commemorate this accomplishment by updating my town pass card photo once again. And since I had been going to Shrunk super often, I had a ton of emotes unlocked that I was able to use while posing for my new photo. And that brings us to the end of the video, so thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun making this video, so I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, definitely like and leave a comment down below. And if you didn't like the video, leave a dislike and a comment down below. I support that 100%. I also wanted to share that if you're looking for a more extended look, aka me actually playing the game in real time, I'm planning on posting that over on the second channel once again, like I did with the last part. So definitely go over there and subscribe so you know when I upload that. I'll leave a link to that down below. Hopefully I'll have the next part of this little series out soon. That was a lie. It's probably going to take a while for me to do that, like it did with this part. So maybe as a way to make up for that, I'll make part 3 100 days in New Leaf. Is that all right with y'all?